Wow. I don't think anyone out there had 31-9. If you did, it was 31-9. Chiefs beat the Buccaneers. I don't think anybody would have imagined the dismantling that we saw on Sunday night. And yeah, we're getting right into it. You guys know why we're here. You've got your TV, your smartphone, your laptop, whatever. However you're enjoying the program on Peacock, listening on Sirius XM 211, whatever the case may be, you know why we're here. You know what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the outcome that no one saw, not even the most ardent Buccaneers fan, in their wildest dreams would have imagined the takedown that we saw last night of the defending champions by the Buccaneers. A defensive performance that was masterful, an offensive performance that was more than good enough, delivering when needed, building a lead that I kept waiting, Chris. I kept waiting. That's my big picture thought on this game. I kept that, because my son and I were talking about it. It's the biggest blowout since 43-8 by the Seahawks over the Broncos. But that game was done the moment that the ball got snapped over the Sheriff's head.
Right.
This one, I kept waiting. There was this sense, this is the Chiefs, this is Mahomes. They can find the gas pedal whenever they want. So I kept thinking, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It just never came.
Well, they were outclassed. They were outmanned. They were outmatched. I mean, the best team won the Super Bowl. There's just no doubt about that. We don't have to really, think any other way or anything about that. There's no doubt, added to the fact that, it's the most complete team in football, Mike. You kind of just spit it out. That's really the other thing you take away from it. Where's the weaknesses of the Tampa Bay team? They continued to fix those weaknesses all year long and just smothered the Chiefs and Mahomes, who couldn't overcome, the injuries on the offensive line. Mahomes definitely wasn't 100% running around. I mean, he's getting surgery on his toe this week. The distraction of the Andy Reid situation and all that. We're going to get into all of this, but, how much does that play into the game? I don't know. It doesn't matter. The more physical, dominant team won the football game. And, yeah, there was some parts where we thought, ooh, this one's still up in the air. But all in all, I think we know who was the best team on the field, and it showed yesterday.
Even though I had picked the Buccaneers to win, I was waiting and hoping for something to happen that would make it dramatic, compelling, and interesting. And I just think the fact that I kept waiting for it in and of itself was dramatic and compelling, because you think it's going to happen, but it doesn't happen, right? That here, is it? Here we, and it was just kind of that. The second half was that whole until the math didn't work anymore for the Chiefs, and it was amazing that Patrick Mahomes thought they still had a chance up until the interception in the end zone.
He was going to kill himself.
Yeah, but he was doing everything he could. Right. But there was just that. Is it gonna? And it never came. And one of the reasons it never came, and our producer Matt Casey has done a fine job of outlining thoughts in a very cogent and cohesive way. So I'm going to try to do justice to that so we just don't ramble for 2 hours. Let's begin with Andy Reid, the Chiefs head coach, acknowledging it could have gone better for them, and one of the reasons it didn't is because Todd Bowles was on the other side crafting the defense.
Listen, Todd had a good plan, but like I said, I could have done a whole lot better putting these guys in a better position to make plays. I mean, my guys busted their tail, and we didn't, it just didn't work for us. So, but give credit to Todd for the job that he did. He got us.
Was this more about what the Bucs had or what the Chiefs didn't have?
Yeah, that's the question,
their
right?
Tackles, because Mahomes was hair on fire all night long.
Right.
497 yards. This comes from Seth Walder via Next Gen Stats, or Next Gen Stats via Seth Walder. Either way, you know who we mean. 497 yards of running by Mahomes behind the line of scrimmage before throwing the ball. The most a quarterback ran behind the line of scrimmage before throwing the ball all year long, topping Mahomes' 495 against the Raiders in Week 5. So he had that all night, and he had to do it all night. They were on him all night. Is it the line or is it the defense?
Well, it's both. I mean, it really is. First off, it's Todd Bowles with a great plan, like Andy Reid said. That's the thing you're going to start with. And, Mike, we talked about it all last week. You can't blitz Patrick Mahomes, right? You can't blitz him. Todd Bowles is famous for blitzing. I go on from Brother from Another on Thursday. Go, no, he can't blitz. If they blitz, they'll lose the game. That means there's going to be one-on-one situations. Well, you see, they blitzed, 5 times yesterday? And I believe like 3 of them were on like the first 6 or 7 plays of the game. So when they came out, Mike, this was the first great curveball of the game. They did some gutsy blitzes early on where I went, whoa, Tampa looks like they're going to blitz. Holy cow. So now Kansas City goes to the line, to the sideline, and they try to figure out, whoa, they're blitzing us. How are we going to attack this? And then it was almost like from there on out, the front four just whooped the crap out of the Chiefs offensive line, Mike. I mean, really, it was a butt whooping, an ass whooping, whatever you want to say. How many plays were it, like
whatever
you said?
Well,
it's like how many plays, like you were saying, where he got the ball, and you literally thought, wait, are they running a screen? Are they letting the guys go by them? Or is this a real pass play? Like, there was a number of plays where I was like, I think they're setting up the screen. Wait, no, this was supposed to be a drop back. The guy missed Shaquille Barrett that badly. So I think it's the game plan, the injuries, and a front four that was just foaming at the mouth, ready to kick some butt.
At one point I thought maybe they should just put Patrick Mahomes in punt formation and do the ultra-long snap to give him more time, because as soon as he got the ball, even in shotgun, it was retreat.
It was unreal.
Movement. And again, the starters at left and right tackle were starters for a reason. There's a natural drop-off from first string to second string. Some cases it's not as great. Some cases it's significant. Without the left and right tackles last night, I think that was a real problem for the Chiefs. We thought it would be okay because of Mahomes, but you saw him.
Well,
now when Tony Romo started talking about Mahomes hobbling, I'm thinking, is this the Robert Saleh little old man jog, or is he really hobbling? But it did look like his toe was messed up again last night.
I thought it was apparent on the first drive of the game. I looked over at my wife and my little boy as we were sitting there watching the game, and it was really on, really one of his first runs where I went, okay, yeah, he scrambled out and got out of the pocket, but it wasn't the same burst and the same running. There's no doubt. And I saw on the first drive moments of limping in between plays where I went, uh-oh. I thought, Mike, and this is another big aspect of the game, talking about the front four, the guys being injured, all of that. This is why I did pick Kansas City to win the football game. I thought he would be healthier than the AFC Championship game. He was not as healthy as the AFC Championship game. And that was a big part of the football game. His movement, that was going to be the get out of jail free card for not having the tackles. I thought, first off, his foot hurt, Mike, because we saw very little sprint outs, right? There was no sprint outs. It's the best thing to do to protect your offensive line. They didn't do it because he's got a bad foot. So that's a big thing too. And then, Mike, his ability to weave and, get around the corner and, like we've talked about so much, right, attack the line of scrimmage to now people come up and get him. Then he makes throws behind you. He didn't have the speed to turn the corner last night or step up in some of those holes and take off to ever really pressure the defense. And with the formula of the team and the way they played and then him not at 100%, that led to 31-9 butt whooping.
Let's hear from Mahomes after the game. It took him a while to finally get to the video conference position, as you would expect in a situation like that, but here he is when he finally did speak.
I just think we weren't on the same page as an offense in general. I wasn't getting the ball out on time. The receivers were running routes not to exactly where I thought they were going to be at. And the offensive line, they did good. They were good at sometimes, and sometimes they let guys through. And when you're playing a good defense like that, you got to be on the same page as the offense, and we weren't today. And that's why we played so bad. They beat us pretty good. The worst I think I've been beaten in a long time. But I'm proud of the guys and how they fought to the very end of the game.
Mahomes has performed well enough, more than well enough in his 3 seasons to be permitted to say whatever he wants to say whenever he wants to say it. But, man, there was some stuff in that response.
He toted the line a little. Yeah.
Well, no, he more than toted, toked, or toted. He was putting blame on the receivers. He was putting blame on the linemen. Let's call it what it is. I mean, we all freaked out 15 years ago when Peyton Manning said, well, I'm trying to be a good teammate here, but let's just say we had some protection problems. You typically don't hear the quarterback come out in that moment and start throwing darts at his teammates. And he did. He did. Look at the words. Listen to the words.
Yeah, but he threw a dart at himself, too. He said people are open.
Right. Okay, yeah, you throw a dart at yourself, and you only throw a dart at yourself as the quarterback. We learned that all the time. I remember your guy Gruden telling Jimmy Clausen at the Gruden quarterback camp years ago, never blame it on the receiver. It always goes on you. Publicly, you never blame it on your guys. I'm surprised. I hadn't heard that clip before. I'm surprised that he went there because, again, when Peyton Manning said, well, I'm trying to be a good teammate here, let's just say we had some problems in protection, everybody freaked out. I think that there's room to say, man, in that moment, Patrick Mahomes, a different side of him came through because you usually don't see that from franchise quarterbacks.
Yeah, but Peyton Manning just went right to the offensive line. It was his first comment. Patrick Mahomes said, I didn't play good. I missed receivers. Then he went to the receivers, and then he went to the offensive line, which he had already had a pre-comment to that to say we were not on the same page and we were crappy. So, again, I'm not going to read too deep into it. I think he's just giving you a good, honest answer that we were crappy tonight. We didn't block. So, what point? What do we got to? It was all his fault then. That was all his fault.
No. I'm surprised. I'm surprised to hear it, Chris, because you never hear that. Quarterbacks are conditioned to never blame anyone but themselves. I was surprised that he said those words because you just don't hear it.
Yeah,
you got 7 months
I hear you.
to repair any damage he may have done, to the extent that anyone even notices, to the extent that any of the linemen, especially the tackles, will even be on the team next year. How about run the ball once in a while, Chiefs? The run was there if you wanted to use it.
Sure.
What was up with that? I mean, if they're going to be going after Mahomes every play into the backfield, don't you take some of the steam out of that with a handoff from time to time?
Yeah, to a degree, but I think once they got into that mode too, the Buccaneers would have stopped that. As soon as you started to run the ball, their defensive line would have buckled down, but that's not what the Chiefs are. And maybe that's what makes them go back to the drawing board and go, you know what? It's just these games like this, we need a little bit more of a threat of the running game or something like that. But they weren't going to go down running the ball, letting the clock run, and play a game that really was this is what the Bucs wanted. We knew that the Chiefs needed to get into a game where, hey, the Bucs had to keep pace a little bit, and then Spagnuolo and Spags and everything he does on the defensive side. Okay, now we got them, and they got to throw a little bit more, the third and longs, and I can do the disguises and blitzes and all those different things, and they could never get the game to that point. That was really the big thing. The Tampa Bay ran the ball, controlled the clock, and played pass defense. But you're right, Mike. I mean, yeah, could the run game been more effective? Okay, yes, but I don't think they were willing to go down that route as they thought that was not going to be their best way to win a football game.
Well, right, but at some point you got to realize that what you wanted to do isn't working the way that you want it to work, and you've got other weapons on your team, and maybe they do need a better presence in the backfield. They thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire would develop into that guy. We all had penciled him in for Offensive Rookie of the Year before the season even began. He had that great Week 1 performance against the Texans, over 100 rushing yards, and was never really the guy after that. Le'Veon Bell, that was a waste by them. Ultimately, he was nothing compared even close to what he was during his prime years with the Steelers. They really need to think about upgrading in the backfield and using that guy, using that presence, relying on a running game a little bit more. That's been the Andy Reid's story his whole career.
He
doesn't rely on the run game as much as he should. Well, as long as everything else works, you don't need to.
I know, that's
when
what
the
I mean.
other stuff isn't
working,
that's what I mean. You know.
Well, they went basically 15-1. So they were like, what run game? We don't give a damn about a run game. We got these guys. We got 15 throwing it. So that's the way they were built this year. They obviously can go back. You're right, Mike. They might have to think about that. I mean, seriously. I'm not trying to deny the fact of the point you're bringing up. It is very real. But I just think with the way their team was built for this year and how they play, and you're right, Andy Reid and then backup offensive linemen versus the best run defense in all of football. I just think they looked at that, though, and that's not going to be the way we're going to win this football game. That'll play into the hands of the Bucs. I think where I'm more shocked, Mike, than anything is I thought they would really come out and spread it out, and I thought we would see a better attack through the short pass game. That's really where I thought. I thought the Bucs would do what we saw, rush 4 and play 2 deep safeties, right? We talked about it on the show on Friday. I thought Kansas City would be able to, hey, just like we've seen ever since that Raiders loss in Week 5, they'll find a million ways to throw the ball short and then finally get you to go, okay, we got to come up and stop this short passing game, and then they start to hit you deep. And they just never got to that point. They never could really get in a rhythm of the offense. And then, of course, they couldn't even protect to throw some very routine routes down the field. And, those were their issues of their football game.
And to the Buccaneers' credit, they put so much pressure on them early. Right? By scoring, by getting touchdowns, not field goals, by going for touchdowns. There was that moment where the 4th down run, and in real time, it looked like the ball got in, and then you never saw a replay angle, and then it was a great defensive stand, and you got Jim Nantz talking about, well, there's never been a 99-yard drive in Super Bowl history, and there's the completion to Tyreek Hill, and you think,
here we go.
Here we go.
This was the moment. So let's go. Let's get into this whole moment. Let's go, because this starts Penaltyville from here on out for the most part, right? I mean,
before Penaltyville, it was punter
Shankopotamusville
down his leg while crapping the bed. Is that your Hey, you know what? This is high-end analytics. If your punter never punts in the regular season, don't expect him to step up and be ready to go, right? When it's time to punt in the Super Bowl. I mean, the guy, you rarely use the guy. And all of a sudden, he's got to punt regularly in the Super Bowl. He's dropping the ball. He got lucky on one where he dropped the ball. And, you're giving the Buccaneers better field position. But I assume what you're referring to is when the flags started to fly as the Buccaneers drove down the field. Questionable pass interference penalty or 2. Right?
Well, that's I'm
questionable defensive holding penalty or 2.
Right. Well, that's where I'm getting to, because you're like, hey, listen, we know the Bucs. They're the Super Bowl champs, and we're going to hit it all and talk about it all and what they do there. But for the game that we wanted, or a competitive football game, it was kind of there at that moment still, right, to be had. We were all sitting there going, ooh, the Bucs are better. They look like the better team. But if the Chiefs can just hang in here and score a touchdown and just get a little mojo going and maybe get the Bucs out of their comfort zone, who knows what happens. And they get that stop, like you said. Shankopotamus comes. And then, then it became referee time. And I don't understand it, to me, Mike. That's to me where I was frustrated a little bit with the football game, where all of a sudden, hey, the interception, and some of the other pass interference calls, I want to go, we've watched all these playoff games, and I've seen 100 of these type of plays, and they were never called. And now we're going to call them in the last 4 minutes of the second quarter of the Super Bowl? And that's my issue with it. I understand in Week 7, they're pass interference all year long, all game long. I get it. My problem is in the playoffs, it hasn't been it. I mean, if they were going to call the game that way, then the Green Bay Packers would have been in the Super Bowl. So that's that's what bothers me.
Different crew.
I know,
crew.
but it just bothers me.
Crews.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's go back to the prior graphic.
Yeah.
Because I think the moment where it all started to fall apart for the Chiefs psychologically, that defensive holding penalty on 3rd and 4 that wiped out the Tyrann Mathieu interception, where Leonard Fournette kind of did the bump set spike, tipped the ball right into Mathieu's hands. That would have been a huge momentum changer in the game.
Right.
And it got wiped out by a defensive holding penalty that fell into the category of you don't see that get called.
Right. Ridiculous. Like, not even barely a touching of the jersey. Like, you saw like a pinch of it get touched. Like, you just, that hasn't been called all playoffs.
Okay.
That's my issue. Yeah, go ahead.
Question. How much of that is... No, setting aside the whole, it's the Super Bowl and 100 and X million people are watching and everybody's going to be a little more nervous and edgy and antsy and maybe quick to grab a flag or quick to do something unpredictable.
Right.
Setting that aside, how much of it is the Brady privilege? How much of it is, this is Tom Brady and, it's the Super Bowl and he wins and, stuff happens to help Tom Brady, whether it's done consciously or not.
I don't know. I hate to think that really happens, but, we know it happens. Come on, we laugh. When he gets thrown to the ground sometimes, the referee is over there picking him up before he's hit the ground. They're literally telling so yes, there's privileges there. I don't know what to say. I felt like more of this though, Mike. It wasn't about Brady or anything. From the way Romo talked to start the game, this to me seemed like a thing the Buccaneers coaches beat into the referees' heads before the game started. That they hold, and the referees were looking for it. Where I want to go, wait, but I saw 5 other replays on the other side of the ball where I would go, I saw the Bucs holding too, and it didn't get called. That to me is what it looked like. I don't want to sit here and get into the penalties made the difference or not. The Bucs were the better football team. I know that. But the game was still in a process right there where it was up for grabs, the competitive aspect of it, and the referees took over in a way they hadn't the whole playoffs. That's where it bothers me. And that's where I didn't like it, and they became the biggest show on the field for the last 4 minutes of the first half.
Well, and it's a delicate argument to make because if it happens in the last 4 minutes of the game, it's one thing.
Yes.
But the Chiefs had every opportunity,
no doubt,
after that to turn it around.
No doubt.
Maybe when they're in the locker room for the 25-minute halftime, they're thinking, well, we're facing extra opponents tonight. And you start to have that sense creep in. I think when Tyrann Mathieu blew a gasket on Tom Brady, that was the first indication that the foundation was beginning to crumble.
Brady went over and started it. That's the other thing I'm amazed by too. I hold that flag in there. Brady ran over to him and said something. One guy stuck a finger.
But that was
after
face.
The fact. It was after the fact.
Know.
He went up to him and did this and ran away. And then we're going to get mad at the other guy. And come on, it wasn't like a fight broke out, right? To me, that's just, it's the Super Bowl. It's emotions.
Listen, there was another one of those called on Chris Jones where it was the always chippy, pain in the butt Ryan Jensen who started it with Chris Jones, and Chris Jones finished it. But how many times have we seen, watching football over the years, the guy who finishes it is the one who gets nailed because the officials aren't paying attention to every guy on the field. They miss the instigation.
No doubt.
They see the retaliation. That's why it's so important to not retaliate. So, they had the full bag of tricks out. They're telling the officials, as you surmised, the Chiefs hold, the Chiefs hold, the Chiefs hold. Tom Brady knows which guy to target to maybe light his fuse a little bit of all the guys on the defense. Which one's the most likely to come back?
They got them both.
It's the honey badger.
Yeah.
And between Chris Jones and Tyrann Mathieu, those are the guys to get to respond. And hey, you got to give credit to the fact that it was a comprehensive plan.
No doubt.
Not just X's and O's.
Right.
It was a broader plan to bend everything their way.
No doubt.
And by the time we got to halftime, you started to feel like you knew where it was going.
Yeah.
And hey, keeping the Chiefs out of the end zone. Look, I don't want to lose sight of what the defense did.
That's right.
They kept the Chiefs out of the end zone.
Yes.
They kept them out of the end zone. The Chiefs, for crying out loud, the Kansas City Chiefs did not score a touchdown. It was significant that through 3 quarters they didn't score a touchdown. That had never happened in Patrick Mahomes' tenure with the Kansas City Chiefs. They had 3 field goals on the night. These are the Chiefs. This is the greatest show-offs on turf 2.0. Are you kidding me? No touchdowns for the Chiefs? That in and of itself is as impressive as if it was a shutout.
Yeah.
31-9 is the same as 31-0 when you keep the Chiefs out of the end zone.
No doubt, Mike. You're right. This is the story of the game, really. Hey, listen, we're going to hit Brady. He's a legend. He's the GOAT. It's unbelievable. But the story of the game is the Bucs defense. Look at the statistics here. This was one of the biggest blitzing teams in football. They had the wherewithal. Todd Bowles had the guts to go, you know what, I've been blitzing my whole life. This is one Sunday I can't blitz. Look at that. 2 deep safeties, 87% of the time. That just tells you the butt whooping that was going up front between that front 4 and the offensive line of the Chiefs. They blitzed, like I said, it's 9.6% 99% of the time, I think realistically the number was 5 times. And I'm telling you, 3 of them happened in the first 10 plays of the game. And then they realized, wait, we don't need to blitz. We don't need to do anything. We can just play defense. Don't let up the big play, rally and make tackles. And then, like we said in our text chain, and I thought this was a great call by you and Pete Demolittle, is those linebackers, like Devin White and Levante David. Holy crapola, Batman. I mean, they were unreal. They were all over the field once again. And, you know, they're de facto MVPs of the Super Bowl, too, for that performance and 9 points and everything like that.
Yeah, I think if Devin White's interception comes a little earlier, maybe he picks up.
Maybe he gets it. Yeah, right.
Would have been very hard to overcome the Brady presumption, though.
Right.
I mean, Brady had 3 touchdown passes. You know, everyone who scored points last night for the Buccaneers wasn't on the team in 2019. Every one of them, Mike, was not on the team in 2019.
Right.
So, you know, they had the foundation already there with guys like David and White. They both were on the team in 2019. But once they knew they got an opportunity to get Tom Brady, that's when they started pushing chips into the middle of the table.
All in, and like
there it went.
The cool thing you just said too about like the guys that weren't even on the team last year. You know, and I heard like I'm going to give props to Ryan Clark on ESPN because I heard him say this last night, and he's real. This is a real point. This is great. Those guys you're talking about, they're not there if Tom Brady's not there either. That's the other aspect. You know, you want to talk about what he does on the field and all that. Hey, listen, I think everybody, gives him a little too much credit for what he does on the field sometimes. But damn, the stuff he does off the field and everything that way, and then this certainly is an aspect of getting Tom Brady there. At this point, he's the GOAT. People want to go play with him. Leonard Fournette could have gone wherever he wanted. You know, Gronk, he doesn't come out of retirement unless it's Tom Brady. So that's the factor you got to factor in, too, about his work.
Antonio Brown,
right.
He's not there if it's not Brady.
No doubt. Exactly right. So
all those guys.
Yeah.
All the guys who scored touchdowns last night are there because of Brady.
Right.
Now, it wasn't quite the land rush that some predicted when Brady joined the Buccaneers. It didn't need to be.
No.
The 3 guys who scored 4 touchdowns last night between them were in Tampa directly because of Tom Brady. And Chris, let me spin it forward. I want to spin it forward as it relates to 2021. The salary cap is expected to be in the range of $180 million.
Yeah.
We reported that weeks ago. Shefty reiterated, confirmed, whatever, yesterday. 180. There's going to be a bloodletting on rosters. There's going to be free agents who are looking around like John Travolta in that clip from Pulp Fiction. The money's not going to be there.
Could have power teams next year.
So what's going to happen? Once the free agents realize 2021 is a don't get paid, go get a ring type of a year, that's when we're going to find out which teams are able to go get the guys that aren't getting the money that they thought they were going to get.
Right.
Is it going to be Jason Light and the Buccaneers? Is it going to be Brian Gutekunst and the Packers?
Well,
right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you are right now with your phone texting Gutekunst that sentiment, and you don't stop. You're as relentless as Tom Brady was, texting his teammates every single night leading to the Super Bowl. We will win. You got to be ready to go get these guys who are going to be available and build out a team that can compete for a championship, and the Buccaneers are in the best position to do it.
No doubt. Mike, I think it's a valid point, 100%. I mean, all those guys, like you're saying, they're all going to go to really a lot of the teams we just saw in the Final Four, I think, because they're all going to go, wait, okay, we want to go to Tampa. Okay, wait, Tampa's roster's filled. Let's go to Rodgers in Green Bay or Mahomes in Kansas City or Josh Allen, because those are our chances to win a Super Bowl. We could see some super teams next year because of that aspect, which will be funny to see. But certainly to like what you're saying right now, I would think the number one destination is certainly the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what they'll have to offer. I mean, again, there's just the team's going to be there. The only guy that's even questionable is Chris Godwin, and it sounds like they're going to do everything they got to do to keep him. And even if he's not there, I mean, no disrespect by this, who cares? They're still got enough good damn players to go around anyways. And you're right about Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers yesterday must have been going crazy going, man, if I got to the Super Bowl, we would have won the Super Bowl. I mean, the way the Chiefs looked and the offensive line and all those issues. But either way, The Bucs, Brady, unreal. What
I'm not ready to say. I'm not ready to say.
No,
the
I
Packers
know.
will win
I
that
get
game.
you.
I still think the Buccaneers are the only team from the NFC that could do what they did yesterday.
With Mahomes' foot like that yesterday and the offensive line the way it was a different Chiefs team. That's where I don't know if it wasn't the team I was expecting to see.
Hey, another guy that the Buccaneers need to worry about before we take our break.
Yeah.
Shaq Barrett.
Ooh,
free agent.
money.
Right? Franchise tag, 20% bump over what he made this year, which is going to push it over $20 million in a year where the cap's going to be 180. That's a lot if you can't work out a long-term deal. Now, he said last night he doesn't want to be anywhere else. It's easy to say that as the confetti's falling. Let's see what happens when it's
pressures,
time
Mike.
for the dollars to start falling. Because you lose Shaq Barrett, you better hope that one of those guys that gets squeezed off of another roster due to the salary cap depression is a great pass rusher, because you're going to have a problem if you don't have Shaq Barrett.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.